Welcome to Myers ASMR. How are you? Relax, relax. Hey, if you can want it, you can have it, but you've got to achieve the frequency of it. If you want it, you can have it, but you've got to achieve the frequency of it. Well, I must have achieved the frequency of this barbecue chicken sandwich, 'cause I got it. I got it, babe. Doesn't it look fantastic? Well, let's try it out. They give you a nice amount. I toasted the bread slightly. The whole sandwich was in the freezer for about 3 weeks because I forgot about it. But it still tastes fantastic. Don't you like when you already have something in the freezer and you don't have to spend your money? Yeah, it's a nice surprise, isn't it? I eat so much chicken. So what are we watching on Netflix? I just finished season 4 of Sinner. Really good. I'm still making my way through Working Moms. So funny. Firefly Lane is good. Let's face it, almost everything on Netflix is good. It really is. I'm almost at the end. It's not spring yet, but I still went to the beach last weekend because I just had to. It was cold, but I enjoyed myself. I ran into a schoolmate from university. Why? I've got to get some better lighting because, yeah, I gotta figure out my situation. think Asbury Park is the hippest, coolest, most artsy beach town in New Jersey. I mean, they have such a artsy music scene that I really love. And good restaurants. So it's a nice combination. One last piece. Well, we've come to the time in the video where we focus on getting better and better every day and every way with the help of this people skills book. Let's see where we left off. Ooh, yay. Chapter 5, Why Reflective Responses Work. At most points in communication where others would interpret, probe, advise, encourage, we reflect. Reflection can be in the hands of an imitating novice a dull wooden mockery. On paper, it often looks particularly so. Yet, it can also be a profound, intimate, emphatically understanding response, requiring great skill and sensitivity and intense involvement. And that was written by J.M. Schleen, a therapist. Why reflective responses work. People who are learning to listen more effectively often wonder why such importance is placed on reflective responses. I explained that what Winston Churchill said of democracy applies to reflective listening. It is the worst possible method except for all the other alternatives. Most of the other options don't work nearly as well when the speaker is under stress or has a problem or other strong needs. When people are first introduced to the concept of reflective responses, they often think that this way of listening is too structured, too mechanical, and not natural enough. This chapter will explore some of those concerns and then we'll examine 6 problems of human communication that can be alleviated by reflective listening. The chapter concludes with what I believe is the best method of dispelling one's doubts about the effectiveness of reflective listening. Style and structure in listening. People in our seminars often say, when I listen reflectively, I have to stop and think of how to respond. I'm not myself when I do this. Using these listening skills is too contrived and too lacking in spontaneity. One or more of 3 basic issues is usually relevant to this kind of concern. First, when people learn a new set of skills, They usually go through an awkward and self-conscious stage before they are at home with the skills. A person's ability often decreases when he begins using a new method. When I went out for basketball, the coach made me change my method of taking a particular shot. For the next few days, my percentage of baskets dropped significantly. Soon, however, I was shooting better than ever. Similarly, when people first try using these listening skills, they often tell us that they are trying so hard not to send roadblocks and are working so diligently to phrase reflective responses that they miss what the speaker is saying. This does happen to many people, but fortunately, only for a brief period. Someone has said there are 4 stages in the process of improving communication. At first, when a person learns about the impact of the roadblocks he has been sending all his life, he feels guilty. Then he tries the skills, but this new way of relating seems wooden and artificial. He feels phony. Fortunately, most people go through these 2 stages fairly quickly. After using the methods for a few weeks, people often become quite skillful with them. They reflect fairly well, but they're still working at it and are conscious of what they're doing. Finally, after using the skills regularly for a couple of years, this way of relating becomes so integrated into the person's lifestyle that he often does it well and without conscious awareness. He then is like a violinist who has mastered the techniques of his art. The skills become virtually automatic. He plays the music as though the problems of fingering and bowing never existed. Similarly, in time and with practice, these skills of communication can become so integrated into your life that they are natural to you. A second issue that is relevant here is the amount of structure involved in this kind of listening. Beginners at listening skills often think that reflective responses are too rule-governed, and therefore that they seem artificial and impede the free flow of a conversation. Actually, even the freest flowing interactions are very structured, rule-governed interchanges. Richard Bandler and John Grinder wrote, "When humans communicate, when we talk, discuss, write, we are almost never conscious of the way in which we order and structure the words we select. Language so fills our world that we move through it as a fish swims through water. Although we have little or no consciousness of the way in which we form our communication, our activity, the process of using language is highly structured. For example, if we take this sentence which you are now reading and reverse the order of the words, the results would be nonsense. Here it is, in reverse order. Nonsense B would result the words, the of order and reverse and reading now are you, which sentence this take we if, example 4. Bandler and Grinder continue. Our behavior when communicating is the rule-governed behavior. Even though we are not normally aware of the structure in the process of communication, that structure, the structure of language, can be understood in regular patterns. There is no such thing as unstructured communication. Some of the rules that foster clear communication have been transmitted fairly effectively in our society, while other important structures of communication, like reflective listening skills, are rarely transmitted. As a result, when we learn these new skills, they seem strange and artificial at first, but they are no more artificial than the rules of sentence structure, spelling, and so on. Even when I adhere to the pattern of language and the structure of listening skills, I can infuse my individuality into a conversation by what I call style. Style expresses my unique self through nonverbal elements, special wordings, rate of speaking, and other factors that disclose the real me. Though I may choose to use the same skills someone else uses, that does not mean we will communicate alike. Our styles will be very different, so each of our ways of relating will be unique. This kind of distinction can be found in many fields. When learning to play the banjo, certain fingerings are recommended. Individual banjo players using identical methods, fingerings, etc. may sound very different from one another even when playing the same song, because their styles are so dissimilar. The third issue is that while some kinds of spontaneity are highly desirable, other kinds are very destructive. People need to examine their natural reactions and learn what effects they have. At the least, roadblocks, which tend to be used very spontaneously, drive wedges between people and tend, when used repeatedly, to diminish both parties. At the worst, they psychologically maim people for life. When people use reflective skills, often enough to become proficient at it, when they realize how much all interpersonal communication is governed by rules, and when they realize the destructiveness of spontaneous use of roadblocks, they are often willing to discipline themselves to engage in reflective listening when it is appropriate. Let that marinade in your brain. And that's a good place to stop, because then he goes into another section. Let that marinade for a while. You know, that's a good little lesson there. With any skill, any new skill, it probably does feel very awkward in the beginning. And we wonder, are we ever going to get this? Are we ever going to be natural at this? And you just have to keep at it and keep at it, right? Oh, I know what I wanted to say. If you are interested in collaborating, us helping out each other's YouTube channels and social media, hey, let me know. Let's talk. If you have any products or services that you want me to review and talk about and use on my channel and make a video about, I'm interested. So let's talk. And remember that if you can want it, you can have it. You just have to achieve the frequency of what you want. If you can want it, you can have it. But you've got to achieve the frequency of it. If you like what I'm doing here, like and subscribe, donate to the channel. Catch me in the next video, and may you, yes, you find lasting happiness. Bye.